Welcome to Tips from the Movies. On today's episode, we'll be looking at a couple ways composer Danny Elfman uses interval patterns to write themes. Then, we'll write some new music based off these techniques. Let's get started. Beginning with a repeated interval vamp is one way to start constructing a melody. Here's a theme in Breakfast Machine from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It starts with a perfect fifth interval vamp, starting on F sharp and going up to C sharp. One thing that pairs well with a vamp like this is a quick succession of notes, which is what the Breakfast Machine theme does. Hear how well the eighth note melody fits in with the vamp. In your own songs, one benefit of starting with a perfect fifth interval vamp is the lack of the third chord tone. Here are the notes F sharp and C sharp stacked like a chord. You can't tell what quality the chord is because we do not have the third of the chord. It doesn't have the A sharp to tell us it's a major triad, or an A natural to tell us it's a minor triad. This means that when writing, you have freedom to do a melody in a major key and a minor key. Another way to write a theme is by starting with a repeated interval vamp, but playing a chord progression with it. Alice's theme from Alice in Wonderland does this. It begins with a minor third pattern with the notes A and C. One difference between this and Breakfast Machine is that this new pattern is in a higher register and it adds a chord progression underneath. Alice's theme uses this pedal tone progression: A minor, F major over A, and D7 over A, which all have the notes A and C in them. As opposed to the first example, which created interest by melody notes, this technique creates interest from changing chords against a repeated pattern. To write something like this, start with a repeated two-note melodic pattern and then find three chords that all have those two notes. The fun part about starting with a pattern and building the chord progression around two notes is that you get some really interesting progressions. Here's another example using our same A and C repeated pattern, but with a different progression. With this technique, you begin to think in more non-functional terms, which can start to develop your alternative methods of songwriting. Let's build our own theme using these techniques. We'll start with a perfect fifth interval pattern like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Now add a melody, and since we're using the notes D and A, I wrote a melody from the D major scale. The melody builds to a crescendo and lands on the notes A and F sharp, which is where we can implement the technique from Alice's theme. And for the progression, we need to find three chords that have those two notes in it. D major, F sharp minor, and B minor 7 all have the notes F sharp and A, which gives us this as the second part of our theme. Put them together, and this is our completed theme with my own added progression and melody at the end for a climax. Studying composers is a helpful way to expand your songwriting horizons, and I hope that these techniques from Danny Elfman help you in your own process for writing music. If you want some more discussion on Elfman's music, I've got a link in the description to my podcast discussing a whole bunch of his themes and the theory behind them. Thank you for watching.